Okay, I believe we are now live as I'm sitting there twirling my beard, not paying attention. Cool beans. I think we are good to go. We got our weed here. It's been a while since 420 since I've seen you guys, and excited to be back on this Saturday night. Just me. Producer's actually out this week and most of next week. So it'll be just me streaming for probably the next 4 or 5 days or so, which is a bummer for everyone out there. But I'm happy to be back. It's a productive break. Got some ornery dogs here. Let's give them a treat. Chill them out. Get started here. Here, guys. Sit. Take. All right, well, that's the dogs taken care of. Queen Bee and Sega. Welcome, everybody. Good to see ya. And then we got Trigger Lopez. I'm not sure if we've met Trigger Lopez before. Welcome, Trigger Lopez. Thanks for being here. Hopefully, you guys are all having a wonderful Saturday night. It's pretty low key here in Southern California. So let's get started with the weed. Let's get straight into it. Again, just going to be me today, so we'll try to keep things flowing here as best we can. We don't have our producer here to keep us on track as much, but we'll do our best. We'll endeavor. All right, let's start off with a dab here, and we're going to give this dab to everybody here in chat, Queen Bee, Sega, and Trigger. And then I do now have the promise. It's a one-time use only, because I would perish otherwise. But come up with a cool question, ask us something cool in chat, prompt any kind of neat discussion, and we'll do a weed thing of your decision. Oh my God. I just got a horrifying image. And, well, hello, everyone in East Tennessee. Good to see you. And thanks for being here. Let's get high for you guys because you still cannot. Tennessee, one of those very few states remaining. Mostly they are a contiguous pocket of flyover states that in the South and in the heartland that don't have neither recreational nor medical. And Tennessee is one of those. We've got some folks joining us from there. Bye. Happy Saturday. Queen Bee says, I wouldn't want to be anywhere in the plains. Bad and crazy weather, and it's making its way to Wisconsin. I have seen some of those images of those crazy fucking twisters out there. I think we're all just gonna be buckled up from this point forward, waiting for tornadoes that continually recategorize how big we thought tornadoes could be. Thanks to all of the cascading small climate disasters, can occasionally coalesce to a big old F5 plus. Maybe it's just all viral marketing for twisters. That's what we were all waiting for. The sequel-ish to Twister. That's coming out. Why? Who knows? It's a property that people have affection for in their prime earning years that has not yet been built. Pour one out for Bill Paxton, our original twisterer. Bill and Helen, I think. There are two tornado chasers in Twister that are no longer with us. One was a tremendous actor and a national treasure and will be sorely missed. And the other one is Bill Paxton. Philip Seymour Hoffman, also in Twister, and also dead. Let's hope nothing bad happens to new national treasure, Glenn Powell. Weed, let's do it. Let's try not to get any nasty dog here with us. Disgusting. Let's go. Thanks for hanging out. Here is our first dab of the stream. To everybody I said, plus all our friends in East Tennessee, also Philip Seymour Hoffman, and sure enough, Bill Paxton. I always thought Bill Paxton was a bad actor. If I'm just gonna have to say it. I do not think he was a good actor. He was a limited range actor who occasionally could luck into an incredible part for his very small set of skills. And usually those were James Cameron vehicles. We're talking about Bill Paxton. He's dead. Philip Seymour Hoffman, also dead. Twister's a haunted movie. Also don't have a recreational or medical where she lives. I am so sorry, Queen Bee. You are also in one of those increasingly few states left. Let's hope. Let's seriously hope Joe Biden is feeling, and he seems like he should be, desperate for some much needed PR boost from people of our generation or proclivity. And if he needs a quick point bump in the polls, can remove that weed from the category 1. Maybe that'll happen. Wonder what the super predictors have to say. You know about this concept of the super predictors? It was a thing that took off a little while ago. It was a hot sort of pop sci phenomenon, which I'm always a little suspicious of, but it does seem to be a real thing, and has been replicated many times by the same people. There's this group of both known individuals and ones that nobody has found yet, but there's a class of individuals that are incredible at predicting future events. This isn't in any way like they're have some kind of bullshit sixth sense. No, these are just very logical, rational people. And predicting the future is like the hardest thing. And just turn on your cable news and you will hear hours and hours filled with predictions for things that will never come to pass. And we don't hold it against them. But there is a class of people out there called super predictors that just seem to be very, very, very good about predicting really any kind of topic that is that there is maybe a deadline or some kind of question you can condense down. It could be anything from, will these two countries experience war, to will Elon Musk's Neuralink company enter the fortune or enter the public markets, things like that. And just sounds fascinating. I wish I was one of them. I'm not. But I wonder what they would have to say about when weed legalization is due here in the U.S. My money would be on, if not soon, a long time from now. A very long time. It's one of those, if it doesn't happen, well, let me just back up. What do we think happens with the status of weed legalization if Donald Trump retakes the presidency? I don't actually know. I mean, Donald Trump is a famous teetotaler, but I'm guessing he doesn't really care about vices, obviously. He's a vice machine. But it does seem to be now, of course, weed is so incredibly popular with not just the standard stereotype people. There are plenty of people in very diehard red states who are quite conservative who love our new weed paradigm, and I don't know, but that just because there is a even maybe super majority, turn back, of people that want weed legalization in the United States doesn't actually mean that the politics of it would play out like that. Even though you could envision a scenario where maybe even a majority of Trump voters, because weed is that popular, want weed to be legal in the U.S., the legal and cultural forces that also are behind a large chunk of that movement still see weed as a sinful, societally corrupting influence. And I just don't know. I mean, it's very much like abortion. Like, abortion is something that is a clear majority of Americans support right for a woman to have an abortion. But even though that is true, all of the politics, even in states actually, where the majority of the population also wants legal and safe abortion access, the politics of that state, through all kinds of different processes, usually gerrymandering, mean that you're going to get not what the will of the voter actually wants. So there are a lot of, red-leaning states that would want abortion access or not restricted access to abortion, but are going to get it whether they want it or not. And I kind of could see that happening with weed too, even though weed seems to be even more universally popular than abortion, which is a weird way to phrase one's support for abortion, as abortion is popular. That's a lot of talk. Thanks. Let's do another dab. Disconnected Automaton says, why is the 2000s Y2K coming back? And I'm Disconnected Automaton. What do you mean by why is the 2000s Y2K coming back? You do get your weed. I'll give it to you. But I would like some clarification. Are you asking why is the actual concept of Y2K coming back into public consciousness, which I didn't know it was, other than just like millennial millennium nostalgia, all of us, you know, yearning for better times. But I didn't know we were concerned about Y2K. I mean, the actual literal concern with the Y2K bug is definitely past us. Now, are there going to be more short-sighted computer programming cliffs to come in the future? Sure, but I think just like Y2K will manage pretty well. We should have AIs that can handle it all by then anyways. But or are you just simply asking, why is 2000s fever coming back? Why is everybody so nostalgic for that late 90s, early aughts era? Let me know, and then we'll do your dab. We got GTR Zero. Welcome, GTR Zero. Good to see you, man. Sega says, how is the producer? The producer is doing very well. She is actually out in East Tennessee right now, visiting her folks while she had some time off. If you're out there, producer, we wish you well. Turn off the YouTube and go have some fun. I insist. Please, for the love of God. All right. Let me fix my shit here. There we go. GTR Zero is gonna take disconnected automaton's place until we get a clarification on his question, although he does have another one. And we're going to go and do a small dab for our buddy GTR Zero. Actually, you know what? Because we're cutting in line, disconnected, we want to hear from you, man. Let us know about the Y2K. What do you mean by it's coming back? I'd love to know. Thank you for the question. GTR Zero says, here's a fun one. Why do you get brain freeze when eating something cold? GTR Zero, interesting question. Wonder if it's relevant to you in the or it has been relevant to you in your recent past. As far as I understand, it doesn't have anything to do with your brain. It is all about like the capillaries on the roof of your mouth contracting from the cold. And it is actually what you feel in your head is actually a pain or a sensation from your upper palate, that soft fleshy bit there in your mouth, on the top part, your mandible, whatever one, some kind of bowl. Those things I could be wrong. I'm a stupid idiot. Remember that. I think they constrict when you consume, as things tend to do when they get cold, and that constriction of all those little capillaries, I think, gives that sensation of like, brain freeze, my head, because you're having all these little blood vessels shriveling up like testicles in a cold pool. But I don't know if you know this, GTR Zero. If you have that knowledge, here's the way you can combat it. It is a pretty good remedy. There aren't many of these, like things where somebody's like, oh, you have this awful thing happening to you. Do you want a surefire way of getting through it, helping it, speed its way through? Everybody's got a different hiccups remedy. Everybody's got a different way of getting blood flowing back into a foot that fell asleep. But when it comes to brain freezes, I think this is pretty foolproof. And it still might take a second, but if you want to get through it, and who doesn't, because it's an awful feeling. It really is. Terrible feeling, brain freeze. Just stick your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Warm those capillaries back up. Get them dilating nice. and the brain freeze will dissipate into the ether. That's your medical advice for the day. One stuff says, I'm smoking a marijuana with a laser beam. It's the flippin' future. Holy Christ, that one stuff. Care to elaborate? What part of your how is the laser incorporated into your weed consumption? Is it a lighter that has a laser powerful enough to, which I can't imagine because it would be very dangerous, that could cause weed to ignite? Or is it actually like there is the heating mechanism on some kind of a bong or vape or whatever it is, it has a laser? Is this a thing? Are we lasing weed now? Lasers are so sick. God, man. How many of us are old enough to remember getting our first laser pointer, and what a crazy, weird experience that was? In that era of the 90s where everything was just sort of springing into existence, all of a sudden you could go to the mall and, in the little vendor guys that are in the mall, in the same weekend, you could buy a Magic Eye poster for $300, and then in the next cart over would be a guy hawking laser pointers. Lasers! That's science fiction shit! Lasers! Also for an ungodly sum of money. Out of his little thing. And it would have little props that you could make little, like stencils, basically, with your lasers. You'd have the guy who shown it at the movies, and everybody laughed once and then got annoyed really quickly, and then like 4 people did it, and then everybody hated it. And then that same laser pointer the next year was available at Walmart for $25. Wow. Lasers. Now they're cooking weed. I wish I knew that laser acronym off the top of my head. Did I do my blinker for GTR 0? Here we go. If we haven't, if I already have, you get a bonus. Trigger asks, have I seen the movie The Flight of the Navigator? Yes. I feel like most people my age, again, I keep going back to this. Somebody asked about Y2K nostalgia, so maybe it's gone on the brain, but I feel like most people of my age have seen it and probably watched it in school at some point. If you don't know, Flight of the Navigator is the movie about Nope, I am thinking of the wrong movie. What is the Flight of the Navigator? I have actually never seen. Trigger, a Disney movie that I don't really know, from 1986. This is one of Disney's decades of flops, 70s, 80s. Not great time for the Walt Disney Corporation. Flight of the Navigator, don't know anything about it. Wonder, boy, I must have seen it at some point, or seen something about it. It doesn't even ring a bell, which is weird for me. What a sort of crazy sounding plot as I'm looking through the Wikipedia. Any reason you bring it up, Trigger? Flight of the Navigator. And what is the movie I was thinking of? The movie with the geese, where they fly like a hang glider to like be a mother goose to a bunch of goslings to get it somewhere. Isn't that a movie? Let's just Google geese flying movie. Geese flying movie. Fly Away Home is what I confused Flight of the Navigator for. I think I'm going to give myself a pass on that one. I've seen Fly Away Home. It's not very good. Okay. In case his 1996 got his first laser pointer, then he gives us that incredible acronym for laser, which is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. And that spells lasers. I remember we all wanted to spell it with a Z so badly. It really feels like it should be a Z. That fucks the acronym. It's stimulated, not a zimulated. Shut up, dog. Nobody needs your shit. The dog is upset the producer's not here. But the dog can go to hell. Shh. No. Fly Away Home, the one with Jeff Bridges? Yes. That's the one. Not Flight of the Navigator. This one's got geese instead of aliens. Which are so weird as to be alien. Fuck geese. Shitbirds. I'm in some kind of mood today. Nah, geese are cool, man. You're cool, geese. We don't have a producer. Jack Ortner, welcome, Jack Ortner. Thanks for being here. Jack's gonna get himself a dab. Because Jack has a great question. Jack asks, "Hey, you seen Challengers yet?" And he says, "It fucks." And really fuck that much. Fucks in like a oh shit, this movie fucks kind of way. But as for like the amount of expected like banging on screen, it's not much of it. Not much of it at all. It's more restrained than the marketing leads you to believe. The movie is so good, though. It is so good. It'll, I'm a straight man, but for 2 hours and 10 minutes, I also felt bisexual. Maybe that's just what Zendaya does. She's so good. She can turn straight men kind of gay. Maybe that's a bad way of. I'm sorry if that's an offensive way of describing bisexual people. You're not kind of gay. You're bisexual. And for 2 hours and 10 minutes, I felt like I was too. I would have mostly liked to have made out with Zendaya, but, the weird looking one and the scumbag looking one, great. Luca Guadagnino, sorry Italians. Man, that man, I somehow have not seen Call Me By Your Name. I don't know, but now Armie Hammer is persona non grata, so I feel like I don't have to. I know about The Peach. I don't want to. Bones and All is so good. Bones and All, oh my God. Got one of the best finger sucking scenes ever. But yes, I loved Challengers. It was so great. So I just didn't. So much more interestingly structured than you're probably imagining. It is this. It's fascinating, and it's about people in tennis. And this might only be my interpretation. I shared this. I shared this with the producer leaving, and I think she maybe didn't see it this way. So it could just be me. I thought it was a surprisingly, and not to spoil anything, a surprisingly sweet movie. Um, like you, both the title and the premise, and even the imagery that is out there makes you think it's going to be this. And it's not that it's not thrilling, but it's not as mean spirited as you might suspect. It's great, and just because it's not, there's not a lot of um, real. It's not as horny as people want it to be. It's still pretty horny. Yeah, check it out. Great question, Jack. What'd you? I was gonna say, what did you think? But you said it fucks, just not as much as you might think. That's how you know it's a quality movie. It doesn't. It didn't fuck as much as one might think this movie with this pedigree and this sort of marketing blitz might be. But you love it anyways. For fun, like camera tricks in this movie too. Crazy, inventive. I guess visual effects. You riding some tennis balls at points. Like the camera is situated on a rapidly being volleyed tennis ball. I assume it was all digital, but it looks incredible, and it really gets that feeling across. Great grunting. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Happy Saturday. Um, here says about then it has Pee Wee Herman in it. Oh, maybe Flight of the Navigator. Speaking of deceased people, we started off having a really somber stream, missing Philip Seymour Hoffman and Bill Paxton, our favorite twisties. Um, and what was I going to say? Something. Oh, Pee Wee Herman. He's dead too. Paul Rubens. Pour one out. Feel pretty cheated if you're Paul Rubens in life. Could you imagine now having your career ruined for jerking off in a theater meant to be jerked off in? I mean, in some sort of circles, that could get you celebrated. It destroyed him. I mean, I guess he's been around since, he popped up a lot years later. He was always a delight to see. But there was even a I don't memory hold. There was a new Pee Wee Herman at some point, right? Netflix made a Pee Wee thing. That's it. That exists. Or am I just imagining it? Was this? It felt like it was, in that just utter cavalcade of requels and shit. Late teens kind of era. I kind of remember like there being a new Pee Wee thing. Am I crazy? Did that happen? Paul Rubens, we miss you, buddy. Sucks what they did to you. But you got the last laugh. No, that's not right. Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, public masturbation. something, something, something. Um, my characteristic, my assertion that Challengers doesn't have as much banging as one might think by saying that churro scene was sex. And that I do agree. There is a lot of incredible innuendo in that movie, too. And they do dirty things to that poor, poor churro. I was about to talk about the scumbag aesthetic, but I don't know what else I had to say about it other than, like, I don't think I get it. Except for those 2 hours and 10 minutes last night, and then I super got it because that scumbag guy. And then they three-way kiss, and the girl's head comes out, and then the dude's kiss. Weird. Uh, Very horny movie. Um, Grovel asks, "Hey, where's the producer?" Great question, Grovel. Our producer is in East Tennessee right now, actually on a brief trip to go see her parents, and while she had the time to do it, let's hope she's not watching right now, or otherwise she's going to be pretty disappointed. But she should be back, hopefully streaming with us, maybe by the weekend, next weekend. I think she gets back Thursday, something like that. No guarantees, but hopefully soon. And Grovel, hope you're having a great Saturday. Let's do a little bit more weed here. Grovel says that Pee Wee was amazing, loved him as a kid, but GTR Zero says that Pee Wee was creepy. The Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, the movie, Large Marge. A lot of people are traumatized by Large Marge, but Pee Wee himself was a delight. Oh boy. Terrible idea to even think I could do a Pee Wee Herman. Laugh? Whatever that kind of noise Pee Wee's making. I feel like all this mention of Pee Wee's going to get me picked up on some kind of list here. What a weird name. Pee Wee. Where the fuck? How do I? That is really bizarre. Pee Wee. My where I grew up, the like elementary school football team were called the Pee Wee, or like that class of player were called the Pee Wee League, something like that. Weird. It's too very well. I don't need to get into it. Why do we call it Pee Wee Leagues? And Pee Wee Herman, though, he's great, and that makes well in his case it makes total sense. Always comes back to nominative determinism. If your name is Pee Wee, you're gonna get caught jerking off in an adult theater. It's just destiny. Yeah, name yourself. Give yourself the stage name. Uh, Something that isn't so. Boy, you would think I could come up with an easy example of something boring and harmless, but I was like, okay, what's a thing I could, you know, uh, two relatively innocuous sounding things, and then you could just be that. But I was like, no, I can't come up with literally anything. Just words. That's how we know we're having a quality stream. That's when we know it's a good one. Um, John J. MMA, welcome, Gonzo Baptist. Good to see you, man. Bobble says I used to play Pee Wee football here in Arkansas. Yes, that is the name of the football that they played where I was from too. Pee Wee. Weird. And it's think about how weird that fucking is. Piss or piss wiener for a team of Again, football always weird. They played excuse. I know I've said this before on stream, and I'm apologize for always repeating myself, but the name of the play, the I guess you would say school sanctioned roughhousing game played on the playgrounds in the afternoon. You know, they'd have the gym coach come and supervise occasionally. It was just known by everybody, including the teachers, as smear the queer. So maybe we shouldn't. I mean, it seemed pretty wild at the time, but it's a different place, different time, but not that different. So maybe we shouldn't be so weirded out by Pee Wee football. Whew, let's do a small bit of weed here. We don't have another cool question. Wait, no, yes, we do. Spoonly. I missed it. I'm so sorry. Spoonly says, have I ever seen The Harder They Come? And then he says, an all-time great movie and definitely a top 5 film soundtrack. Why does that... I have not seen it. Sounds pretty incredible. It is a 1972 Jamaican crime film. I don't know if I'd ever heard of it before. I mean, the title sounds so vaguely generic. It's like, oh yeah, that sounds like I've... But in the sense that, like, you could look at a red box and you could find 5 Bruce Willis movies with titles that are pretty much the exact same thing that have all come out in the last 6 months. So I don't know if that was the best metric, but it sounds pretty cool. Where, Spoonly, and sorry I missed your question. Let's get you a volcano bag? Yeah, let's do the volcano bag. Discover the harder they come, and what what is it that you love so much about it, other than the apparently kick-ass soundtrack? I don't know if I know any real Jamaican cinema, to be honest. No, no. I do know this movie. Yes, yes, it's super famous. It's the most influential like piece of Jamaican cinema. I've never actually seen it, but I definitely know of it, and it's like it was like a crossover movie. It was a big deal. It like brought reggae over or something. I've never seen it, but I just know of its importance now. So I did recognize the title, I think, but never seen it. But I did listen to an excellent podcast from Slate Money, the online magazine. Their business and finance podcast also does an occasional dip into movies, and they actually covered The Harder They Come, because it has some, they were able to make some nominal connection to money in some way. It sounds like a pretty harrowing movie, actually. Languages: Jamaican English, and Jamaican Patois. Jamaican English is a Creole or a pidgin. Can't remember which. Or which. I think it goes pidgin, then Creole. As languages like merge and then start to bud into languages blend together as two cultures mix. I think we just used the term Creole for Cajun, but it's a language term. It's where English and French, right, met. Unless the history is like, oh, it's actually way different than this altogether. But and they formed a Creole, Cajun hybrid between the two. And a Creole is like the last step on the fictionalized, it doesn't actually exist rubric to becoming a real big boy language of its own. It's like you take they sort of blend together. They blend together. It's like just two languages literally just smashed together. The vocabularies are mixed together. The grammar's all fucked up, sort of incompatible. You got a pigeon. You refine that down. You sand it down. You get something a little bit more with its own grammar, its own flow. You got yourself a Creole. Give that some more time to brew. Get itself all frothy. And maybe at some point you got to. America's got two homegrown, wholly encompassed Creoles, not pigeons, I think, that are geographically isolated. There's Creole, Cajun, and there's the super fascinating. You probably didn't even know if you were a youngin around this. Oh, here we go again with this dumb millennial nostalgia bullshit. But if you were a young child around the age that I was, you might have been forced to watch Gola Gola Island in school, a TV show about the Golagisi people in South Carolina, right? And some big giant fucking dude in a tadpole pollywog costume. It was dumb. But those people, these are real people. It's a real place. South Carolina, I think. There's this island where people don't speak English in the real sense, in the sense that you and I would think of it. I think you would have, I mean, their language is dying, as most Creoles are. If they're not growing, they're shrinking. And I guess you would have no problems communicating with somebody from there. They almost certainly would speak English, but you could probably understand Golagisi, whatever I can't remember the actual language is, but yeah, there's another Creole. It's like it was native African languages mixed with English, and they lived on an island, and it, as things tend to do on an island, it got funky and mixed together, and we got an island on our East Coast with people speaking a almost different language. Your least favorite Supreme Court justice, assuming you your I was gonna say your second least favorite. Who knows? One of your two least favorite Supreme Court justices is actually Gola, Clarence Thomas. He speaks Gola. I think it's the reason he didn't speak for years on the Supreme Court, is because he was embarrassed by his accent or something like that, supposedly. Who would we be talking about Gola? Again, quality stream. R0 says, have you ever seen Finding Forrester? GTR0. Boy, do I have an answer for you. And boy, do I... Let me back up. Let me try to do this a different way. That question is so good, GTR0, that my best response to it is that you're the man now, dog. Yes, I've seen Finding Forrester. One of the many inner city kid gets white benefactor movies and becomes better and makes the white benefactor marginally less shitty in the process. But there's nothing really interesting to say about Finding Forrester except for there's a scene where Sean Connery tells our young, promising, but headstrong Forrester, in a moment of trying to encourage him in his most Sean Conneryisms, goes, "You're the man now, dog." And that little bit of audio, along with Sean Connery's face, was my gateway into web culture. There was a moderately popular website from 2004 to 2000. I mean, I don't know how long it was popular. It may still, I'm guessing it's still maybe existing some format variety, called ytmnd.com. And I spent too much time of my freshman year of college on YT. I'm going to go to YTMND right now. Also an acronym for You're the Man Now, Dog. And that little note, that idea, just static background of a Sean Connery and just an endlessly repeating, "You're the man now, dog. You're the man now, dog. You're the man now, dog," over and over and over again, created a whole really lush, depraved, fun, inwardly gazing internet community, producing some incredible memes back before we were calling them memes. Does what happens when I go to YTMND? It looks like it is still here, and somehow I don't know if it's still being operated or not. Wow. All time, this website, man, looks so. It's not what I remembered it as, but it's doesn't look great. Check out YTMND if you're ever really thirsting for some extra content. I'm gonna see if I can't find the actual original YTMND. It is now a Rickroll, sort of. The internet, what's happening to it? It's degrading. Regarding The Harder They Come, our Jamaican crime movie, brought us reggae, says he fully recommends it. It's on the Criterion Collection if you have that, or I guess there's also a Criterion streaming service too. There's definitely a 1080p copy floating around online, and he says that yes, it does kind of predate the reggae craze here in the States. The podcast I had listened to about it, the guests who they had talking about it, really did make me want to listen to it. I mean, or watch it. It was a thing I never would have encountered otherwise, but and now with your recommendation as well, Spoonley, it seems like it is something I should seek out. Maybe it's got to be my next Criterion Collection purchase. I've only got the one, my signed copy of Election by the greatest director of all time, of course, which I got signed. The producer got signed for me. Last year, I got to see him in person. Alex Payne signed my copy of Election, Criterion Collection. That goes in the all-time memory box. Okay. Let's get a little personal here again. So last stream was 420. We had a great 420. It was awesome. I had so much fun. I did promise an excellent story in the middle of that 420, and I think I did deliver. It seems gross to double dip, but I'm guessing some people didn't hear it. And I have more news in that regards front. And some of it is just so. Well, just begin. One days ago, not 420, 420 Eve, 419, the Christmas Eve of 420. Of course. We wrap up our stream late. The producer and I, we stream, it's like 10:30 or something. So I will answer your question after I get through with my story. But yes, good old Fred Savage. You know, he's a director now. He makes Party Down episodes and might be a scumbag. Anyways, back on track for a second. Sorry. And sorry to put you aside for a second, Trigger. I'm going to try to get to this fast, but I'm not quick. Under the best. Let's get through some back first. So, Friday, I did 7 units of weed. I am so high. I did it in like 2.5 hours. It's a crazy. I was so high. I was so ready just to unwind, get prepared for 420 the next day for our big giant 420 show. Let's make it. So, 10:30. Getting ready to watch an episode of Party Down, the one where Henry gets super high for some, like, sympathetic malice. Starting it, just getting off stream, just sitting down, thinking about tomorrow, mostly just not thinking about anything. And all of a sudden, from outside of our place, and it's like 10:30, no reason for this, there is this sound of what sounds like kind of like a Roman candle, but louder and way closer than one should be. But that whistle, but no explosion at the end, just a. And because that sound was from a very similar thing to a Roman candle. It was from something under pressure and combustion that I've learned to work. So, producer steps outside. She's like, let me check that out. And as soon as she opens the door, it's very clear something is amiss. Remember, I am so fucking high. It's 10:30, 7 units a week. She opens the door after hearing that weird noise. And the light is different in the sense that there is quite a lot of it at 10:30. And an immense amount of light and in very strange, sort of undulating hues. The producer just screams, "Oh my God, I think there's a fire." And she runs down, and I'm just sort of like, what? Holy shit, what? She runs down the stairs, goes around the corner, and from one of the 2 houses that are actually on fire, it wasn't just one, didn't realize that at the time, one of the 2 houses that are on fire, somebody is hanging out a 2nd floor window. There is no 1st floor accessible. It's just a window with like a 18-foot drop to cement, an alley behind him, and this big, beautiful house. And the guy is shouting, "Help, I'm trapped. Help, please, I can't." He's like mean, nobody really knew any details. It was panic. But he's like, I can't get out. I'm trapped. Can you do something? So the producer runs back upstairs. She's like, oh my God, there's a giant fire. The house 2 down from us is just in an inferno. She's like, there's somebody trapped in there. I got to go get our dog who is in our garage, our 12-year-old Great Dane who cannot get upstairs so easily. So she spends some time in the garage when she has her arthritis is super bad and she cannot walk upstairs. She's like, I got to go down, grab our Great Dane, get the other 2 and just get out of here. Because if wind shifts, our place might be on fire in moments. And she's like, get the car and just, she's a hero. Just, this was, all her. She's like, just drive it under him and let him jump down. And it's like, okay, I'm high as shit. I'm so fucking high. This is real. This all really happened. I think I shared some video of the aftermath on Discord. Hint, hint, and check out our Discord. So I get down the stairs, get to our alley, see the guy going, help, help, help from his window. Big giant drop down. I navigate my car under him. It isn't just him. It is him and his partner and a little tiny dog strapped to her. Their downstairs is burning. They don't have any way out. And out of nowhere, just materialized 2 heroic, beefy dudes who just like, in the commotion of a house burning down, materialize out of nowhere. They get on the roof of my car as I'm in it, making sure it's not going anywhere and we can get out of there. These guys get up on the roof, help the 2 people jump out of the roof with the little dog onto the roof of my car, get down, run out the alley. We get out just as the first of like 20 fire trucks arrive. And it was pretty much total devastation for that guy. And it was one of the craziest, wildest nights of my life. Also, I drove high. Didn't want to, didn't mean to. I was very high. Of course, the second I saw the flames, wasn't high really in any sense I could feel anymore. The adrenaline took over, but like, I can no longer say I've never driven high, or like, because I had to drive down an alley to catch some people jumping out of a burning house. So that I had all said last 420. This happened on 419. It's nuts. Right after we finished streaming. 420's told that story. Of course, in our neighborhood, it's been a big point of discussion. Well, I saw the guy this week. He came up, he's like, oh my God, thank you, blah, 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 blah. The real suave gentleman. And then I'm with the producer. This guy, whose house it was, proceeds to say, say what he's about to say. I mean, 2 firemen from Long Beach Fire Department. This is, 4 days after it had burned down. And they were there just doing some like training in the place because, it was such a devastating fire. There's some like academic purpose for them to go through and, do a what do you call it? A postmortem on the place, I guess. And these guys are coming in and are in the same alley, and he sees these 2 fire people and grabs their attention. First thing he reveals, The neighbor who is renting his incredible beach condo, house, not condo, was a like 33-year veteran fire captain in like Oxnard or Ontario, California. Was a fire captain himself and just stopped being one a little while ago, just retired. But lives in an unbelievably nice place. So he's a fire captain whose house burned down. That already was astounding. So, fire captain. What? He's like, yeah. He tells the firemen who are coming in, he's like, I'm a fireman. I know what happened here. Let me tell you this story. Proceeds to tell us a recently retired fire captain, so a man with a lot of knowledge on both how to stop fires, but also how to make them and how to make them look not like they might not be your fault, even if they are. God, I hope he never. Anyways, he then says he is a 33-year veteran of some Southern California city fire department, a captain, retired. He says, with two firemen there, yeah, I think somebody was trying to kill me. What? What? Yeah, I think somebody was trying to kill me. Let's spin up the most immediately suspicious thing you could say following that up. He's like, I woke up, my girlfriend and I were lying in bed, and I just heard what sounded like the sound of an accelerant being burnt, and that like sound of gasoline going up. And he's like, I think somebody poured, accelerant all over my house so that the fire would, burn instantaneously the whole structure. There'd be no chance to put it out. Okay, weird. Why do you have enemies? Why are they burning your house down? There is another thing that I will reveal later because it wasn't clear at the time. But so weird already. Then he's like, yes. Okay. So he's like, yeah. So all that accelerant just meant the whole place was going to go up. That plus I always keep 2 propane tanks and 2 canisters of gas on my balcony at all times, just to have them. These crazy flammable substances that should be stored in, a very conscientious manner. Also retired fire captain, but he keeps them literally butting up against his house. 2 propane tanks and 2 gas canisters, big, like 5-gallon gas canisters. And he's also alleging that somebody poured gas all over his house and lit it. He's like, yeah, and once the accelerant hit the fuel, his own conveniently placed propane and fucking gasoline, he's like, the whole place just went up. He's like, yeah, I have all these these thick corridors, but it was instantly up to my blah, 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 blah. And I'm just thinking, what are you doing, dude? What? Could you make yourself seem any more suspicious? What are you doing? What are you saying? And then what does he fucking say? What does this guy say? God, I hope he's not right out this window. Holy shit, I hope he isn't. He's like, and you know what really sucks? And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, insurance fraud. But he says, you know what really sucks is that I'm moving out of the country in a week. Next week, I'm moving to a private island off of the coast of Mexico. No contact, no cell phones, no satellite, just this beautiful, beautiful. And now he's like, I'm still going, but you know, it's Paul. He's like, as if I really knew him. He's like, yes. He's like, that's where I've been the last couple of months on my private island off the coast of Mexico doing God only knows what suspicious things. He's like, I just came back for this one day and somebody tried to kill me by arsoning my house down, a fire captain with my conveniently placed gasoline and propane tanks, and my plans to escape the fucking country. And he's telling this too long. That there is no, that he didn't do anything untoward, that there would be, that is just a freaky, weird, fucked up coincidence that just like, man, wow, yeah, fire captain's house burns down. Somebody arsoned the fire captain as he's fleeing the country. What a terrible sequence of events. The best piece of evidence that that is actually true, and it's not just that he was doing some shady shit and is trying to flee. The best excuse, the best reason you can conjure that he is being sincere is nobody would be that fucking stupid, right? Like if you engineered that whole scenario to, I don't know, if insurance fraud, he was renting. But then again, how truthful can you? I mean, you couldn't. The only thing more sort of guilty sounding you could say is like, oh yeah, I burned that fucker down last night. But you're like, man, somebody poured a bunch of gasoline over my gasoline canisters and propane tanks while I was conveniently asleep and behind my solid oak door that wasn't going to let fire through. And, you know, I'm planning on fleeing the country soon. Forgot where I was going with that little rant there at the end. So we got not just one crazy story out of it. I think I'm going to upgrade it to two. The owner, the renter of the property. I mean, in my mind, confessed to some crazy like, only excuse, the only reason that it couldn't be something shady is somebody who was operating in that level of criminality couldn't be as stupid to just make up a story that I wasn't asking for. He just volunteered it. He just told me that. But I didn't suspect anything untoward before, but after telling me that, it's like, oh man, I'm not going to burn that house down. No, none of this happened. It's all not true. In case there's any illegal things, never doubted you. You're a good man. You're a great man. It was all true. Don't sue me, anybody, please. I just let this bad go to waste. I had fun telling that story again. So I'm sorry. Let's do a nice job for everybody. My nuts. I mean, I will tell you, being outside in that fire, the guy having four people on the roof of my car jumping out of a burning building is a top 5. Don't classify it. I don't need to categorize it that way. Is a thing that is, no pun intended, intended, burned into my memory forever. I mean, it's just a thing that I will never ever forget. It was surreal. It didn't feel real as it was happening. And then it felt surreal when I had a conversation with him days later, before he's about to leave to a private island. God bless America. God bless insurance fraud. I just finished a great book. I talked about it a little bit recently. Mixed Signals, a book about incentives and the use of incentives and economic incentives. And I forget how I was going to tie this in with what I was just saying. Oh, insurance fraud. Yeah, that's how. There's a lot of insurance fraud in that book. He closes it with a look at a hunter-gatherer Kenyan tribe, the Maasai people, I think, and using incentives, trying to create incentives for things like the Maasai people, a hunter-gatherer band in rural Kenya, to change behaviors, socially destructive behaviors that the Maasai tend to occasionally engage in. And one of those I thought was so fucking fascinating. The Maasai rite of passage, the boys was they have to kill a lion with a spear. A boy at like 15 or 16 has to basically go hunt a lion. It seems crazy to me. Single combat, spear, hunted, rite of passage, succeeded, becomes a man. But of course, as a globe, we really don't want people out there, even if they are a native culture. People have been doing this as long as any human civilization has been around, doing this tradition. Unfortunately, we're doing such a good job of killing lions in other ways that the Maasai can't kill lions in the ways that they would like without really hurting the lion population. So the author of the book came up with an incentive structure. Why am I talking about this? Something about insurance fraud, which had something to do with the story I just told. Is it interesting? Hard to know. Let me just get through it. I'm just going to get through it. We'll get through this, guys. We'll get through it. You know what? I'm going to do a dab before. So just hold in your mind, we're eventually going to get to something related to what I was talking about before, and it's going to happen. That's what I know. Exciting. So we don't want these people killing the lions. We want them protecting the lions. But how are you going to change a giant ingrained cultural tradition that has so much identity, the Maasai people wrapped up into it? How do you convince people to do the exact opposite thing that they have been doing their entire, or possibly centuries, the hunting of a lion? How do you get young men to protect lions? Well, you change the incentive structure for livestock. The reason, because there's often a reason these traditions come about, a reason that the Maasai people want their young men killing lions is because the lions kill their livestock, their goats. and shit. I'm not sure what they're, if it's cows or goats, but they kill their livestock. So these nerds came up with this idea. You know what? How about instead of killing a lion and having boys kill a lion as a rite of passage, how about we want them protecting them? So what can we do? What's the mechanism? How do we do this? Well, really, they just don't want people killing their goats, lions killing their goats. So what we can do instead is have these boys go out and pay farmers who have lost livestock due to lion attacks as a way of protecting the lions. So now, instead of a farmer seeing a dead goat as a consequence of having just a zero, purely negative thing, just a 100% cost. A dead goat is a dead goat, killed by a lion, eaten by a lion. But in this world, where you don't want people killing lions, you want to save the lions, you, instead of making the dead goat, the eaten goat, worthless, you pay them. You pay the farmer off. You say, if your goat gets killed by a lion, we'll give you 70% of its worth. But you know what happened? This happens all too often. Farmers, the herders, that's their name. They got smart. They started encouraging their sickly cows and sickly goats to go graze a little bit herd. Maybe maybe we'll just walk a little faster. So the old enfeebled guy in the back can't quite keep up. Maybe becomes a good tempting target for a lion. And what happened very quickly is the program got exploited by these herders who were encouraging lion attacks, actually, instead of, going from trying to kill them. Now they were like, oh shit, it's a good way of getting rid of our sickly, weak animals and still getting a decent chunk of change for them. So that was our insurance fraud, I think. I think we got there. We did it. I'm gonna give us credit. Let's do a dab. I think I what earlier. Do a dab and say farewell, actually. Shorter stream tonight. Wasn't sure I was going to make it, but I'm glad I had a chance to come and hang out. Should be back tomorrow for a longer stream. Earlier in the day, I think. And I'll be streaming some next week. Hopefully every day. I'll try to keep it abreast. And hopefully soon, maybe as soon as the weekend, no promises. We can get the producer back here. Get this show rolling again. Get us moving. Dysfunctional. Anyways, let's do a good night dab. Say farewell. Happy Saturday. Week after 420. Boy, pretty high. Thanks for hanging out with us. Damn. I gotta get a new piece of glass. It's not quite the volume I need. I need a little more volume. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out with me on this Saturday night. Hope to see you guys again tomorrow. Take care. Stay high. And we'll catch you guys next time. Later, everyone.